Hi guys, this is actually going to be my last week of videos. So I'm actually going to do something a little different with our backgrounds is we're going to do fun places that I wish we were. So we're going to do some things I wish we could do. So today we're in Paris. Right now we're in Paris. Wouldn't that be fun? My parents were supposed to go, but we have quarantine instead. Oh well. All right, so we're going to go on to the next section where we're going to do a little bit of graphing. So if you don't have any graph paper at home or anything like that, I have put a file up under our files. It's also linked in our assignments. That is a printable graph paper that you can use at home. If you have access to like a page protector where you could put it in there and use dry erase markers, that would be awesome. But I know not everybody has those. If you don't have access to a printer, you can use lined paper and just really carefully draw your counter lines, like with a pen. And then if you graph with a pencil, you can erase it each time and not have to redraw your graph paper. So there's a couple of options for you if you don't happen to have any graph paper with you at home. You can always go back through your notes. We had some teeny tiny little graphs sometimes during our notes. I think this semester we did. And you can like erase your pencil notes and use those graphs. We just need a regular Cartesian plane. We shouldn't even really need to go up above 5 or 7. I don't think we need to on any of them. So the one I have posted on Canvas goes up to 7 on all the axes. All right, so I'm going to pull it up because what we're doing is a little complicated, but we'll get through it. And I know you can do it because I believe in you. All right, so let me share my screen. So there's a lot on this first page. There's a lot here. And I recommend you write this all down. So if you need to pause the video and write it down, that would be a good idea because there's a lot of formulas here that we're going to need to do the homework. And yes, it is in the textbook. I screen capped this from the textbook. These are the exact things from the 8.3 section of the textbook on Big Ideas. So if you want to just use the textbook, that's fine. If you want to write this down, I recommend it. Okay, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working with graphing these quadratics. I told you we're going to be using them the whole rest of the semester. So these are those quadratics. These are our x squareds that we've been working with. And it's still even using our oops, let me get our pen up. Oh, I can't see the pen symbol down here. There it is. It's still using that same a, b, and c we've been using ever since we started factoring. Ever since we started writing these things down, we've been using that same a, b, and c. So it's still using that. All of those are still involved in all of these formulas over here. We just have to know how to plug those guys in. All right, so it's kind of like the quadratic formula, but the formulas are way smaller. All right, so this one in particular is example 1. I'm going to switch my pen color because I'm going to write on the black part, which means I need a lighter color. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to come up here and we're going to identify our A. Whoops, that didn't work. All right, A, our B, and our C in this particular example 1 here. So our A, and I'm going to write them out to the side over here. Our A is 2, our B is 8, and our C is -1. Okay, so first things first is to identify our A, B, and C. In this case, what we need to identify is our axis of symmetry. What the axis of symmetry is if you look at these graphs, they're U-shaped. And so they look like and they come back up. So they go down, 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 up. Or they can be upside down. They can go like this. Y'all know how good I am at art. Isn't it pretty? Woohoo! And so, but no matter what, it's symmetrical. So it's going to have this axis of symmetry. The one from the textbook is much straighter than mine. I can draw straight lines. Woohoo! So, and this one would have an axis of symmetry too, if I drew it right and it was actually symmetrical. So it should have this axis of symmetry. It's a vertical line that goes straight through the middle. So it's always going to go through the middle. And the middle has a special name, and I'm trying to get that. The middle point has a special name. It's called our vertex. So our axis of symmetry is given by this formula right here. It's also written way over here. And I know it's a little hard to see, especially if you have a small screen, that there is this negative sign right there. Okay, so what it is our C has nothing to do with our axis of symmetry. Not a darn thing. Not a darn thing. So what we're going to have is the axis of symmetry is the opposite of B over 2A is our axis of symmetry. And I'm going to abbreviate because I'm lazy. So what we need to do is we need to take our A, this guy right here, is going to plug in for the A at the bottom. We're going to have our 2 times our A, which is 2. And there's this negative sign in front. And then we're going to take our B, which is this 8, and it's going to go on the top. Now we're into order of operations. So we've got negative 8 over 2 times 2, which gives us 4. 8 divided by 4, or negative 8 divided by 4, gives us negative 2. So our axis of symmetry, squeeze it in, is x equals negative 2. All that means is if I was going to graph this parabola, that's what these are parabolas. That's a really bad one. But push come to shove, that works too. Just sketch it. It doesn't matter how pretty it is. You're the only one that's going to see it. All right, all this means is if I was to draw this parabola, boop, boop, boop. Let's get another color. So there's our bad little graph. Is this axis of symmetry, that line is going to go through negative 2. That's all it tells us. It doesn't tell us where a vertex is. It doesn't tell us anything about it. It just tells us that this is where it splits the middle. All right, so we've done our axis of symmetry. Boop, boop. Next thing we need to do is we need to find our y-intercept. It says right here, our y-intercept is our C value. So our y-intercept is C right here, which is our negative 1. And so what that means is where it crosses our y-axis over here is going to be right down here on this negative 1. So even without knowing anything else, I'm already getting kind of a good image of what this is going to be. So last thing that they want up here. Last thing we're doing up here. Let me get it another color. Last thing we're doing up here is our vertex. So what our vertex is we're going to take that axis of symmetry, this guy right here. It says x equals negative 2. And then what we're going to do is we're going to plug it in to our original equation. So we're going to bring our f of x equals 2x squared plus 8x minus 1, and we're going to plug in whatever our axis of symmetry is, this minus 2. So we're going to have it, give me another color. So we're going to have our, whoop, let's get another color. Let's go to yellow. We didn't use yellow yet today. So we're going to have our 2, and then we're plugging in that negative 2 squared plus 8, again plugging in that negative 2 minus 1. F of negative 2. Technically, if we put it that way, we're 100% right. All right, so our function of negative 2, order of operations here, we're going to have 2 times negative 2 squared. Negative 2 times negative 2 gives us a positive 4 plus 8 times negative 2 gives us negative 16 minus 1. Keep it going. Boop. F of negative 2, we've got 8 plus negative 16 gives us minus 16 minus 1. That's going to give us 8 minus 16 gives us negative 8, negative 9. Okay, so what this tells us is this tells us the y value of the vertex. So our vertex is not a line, it's not anything else, it's just this point. Whatever point is at the bottom or at the very, very, very top. So what this tells us is that on this negative 2 axis, we're going to go all the way down to negative 9. And this is where our vertex is going to be, way down here. So this parabola is going to go kind of like that. Symmetry, remember? So the vertex, the way they'll want you to put it in big ideas, is not as f of negative 2 equals negative 9, is as a point. Name the point. So we know right now that the y value is negative 9. Our x value, come back up here, is this guy right here, that negative 2. Okay? So we'll go through the maximum and minimum stuff in another video. What it really is saying since this is the very bottom point, whoop, it's the minimum value. That's all it's really saying. We'll talk about more how to just look at the equation and see which one, if it's going to have a minimum or maximum in a later video. You will need to be able to do that for the big ideas homework. So work on this, practice this. There are lots of questions like this on the big ideas. So there are also lots of practice questions and lots more tutorial videos that you can go through on the Big Ideas e-learning textbook. All right. So let me share my screen so I can see you. So work on this, work on the big ideas. I'm going to have, I think, 3 more videos for you this week. All right. See you guys.